Sometimes your school notes show converging lines for the benefit curves. You just follow your school notes. If your school notes say SMB, it's the same, okay? So this is MPB plus MEB. And then we have quantity. Let's say I'm talking about quantity of vaccinations. See, last week we were talking about public goods. We were talking about diagrams for market failure also, right? So you should still be quite comfortable with this. Y-axis, you check your school notes. So I told you to check last week. All right. Sometimes the school notes will put price. Some of your school notes will put price / cost / benefit. You follow. Okay. So I said free provision is necessary where MEB is very big. If you look at this case, this is my Q equilibrium. This is my Q socially efficient. Okay? So by right, I only needed to subsidize until here. Yes? Now don't include this line, I'm just showing you. Okay? What happens if I do free provision? If you're trying to show free provision, there are a few things you need to do, okay? Make sure you extend this to the x-axis. So I wanted to show you deliberately that part has been extended. MPB now touches the x-axis. With free provision, MPC is 0. Now, traditionally, in the past, we do this. Free. But don't take this down, because now there is a preference across the schools, right? I think they are revising the approaches. They stop showing this. Instead, they just pretend that MPC is here, 0. Like you lying flat on the road, you're part of the road. So MPC 0 means you're on the x-axis. Alright? But the outcome hasn't changed. That means your equilibrium is here. Free provision. Okay? And here, you're overdoing it because you've resulted in overconsumption. Previously, there was a problem with underconsumption. Now you're making things worse. Follow? So why do I say free provision is necessary only when this is large? Okay, a large MEB, okay? A large MEB means my MSC is probably higher, you know? If my MSC was here, sorry, MSB. So this is what I will call a large MEB. Then, yes, free provision is justified. Okay, I'll let you dwell on this for a moment. Any questions? Like anyone wondering how come MPC is a horizontal line on the x-axis? Okay, wait, MPC is 0, right? Price of, if your notes put price, cost, benefit, then it should be very clear. Alright, when MPC is 0, that means the cost is 0, okay? On the x-axis, 0. Like if I say your height is 0, then you are on the floor. Make sense? You're part of the floor, see? If your height is 0, yes. Okay, yes, Isam?
So if you have a large MEB, it just means that the subsidy, that is like the free provision is like a big subsidy.
Very big subsidy. We call it a complete subsidy. You subsidize until the good is free of charge. Don't draw this for public goods. Public goods, no diagram means no diagram, okay?
What's the deal with loss? Is it still the same?
If my MSB was here, my original David loss would be so big. From underconsumption. You're talking about before intervention.
No.
After intervention. Oh, if you make it free of charge, you have internalized the externality. Equilibrium now aligns with socially efficient, no David loss. Yeah, so let's say I look at the red one, ignore the black MSB. But if I show you the red one, original deadweight loss before the government comes in is here, agree? If you make it free, there's overconsumption, the deadweight loss is bigger. What do we call this? Government failure, very good, yes. But now I show you another case. If my MEB was really large, such that it's that black line here, then free provision is justified, free provision is necessary. Yes, Alex?
But you can't use the.
Mr. Pang. No, Mr. Pang is next door. Yeah.
Mr. Curve.
Yes.
As in, like, you can't use the imperfect information in like testify ground information.
Yeah, you can say imperfect. Oh, you're talking about imperfect information as the root cause of market failure. Huh? Some schools have stretched this to say free provision helps to deal with imperfect info, but not directly.
They won't consume, right?
Yeah, they are ignorant, they won't consume. But sometimes they say free, just send the person there. But weak point, I've seen it being used before. So I think these four are targeted. These four really justify free provision. Okay? Now you see, the subsequent discussion will question our understanding of the fundamentals. Okay, later I'll tell you what I meant. But so in this case, okay, free provision is necessary. So MEB is very large. You follow that? Okay. You all know that the Botanics, right, is now a UNESCO heritage site. It has been listed there. So that was not very old news, which means I can just put it in the preamble and ask you, should the government provide botanic gardens free of charge? Actually, I just went on Saturday, and then my son was carrying a ball full of the fish feed. He was very happy. So we went to the pond. To our horror, we saw the otters. Right, they were eating all the fishes. They tore off the heads, and the fishes were floating, and then the whole place, yeah. And then people were marveling and cheering and saying, "Oh!" Then no one cared about the poor fish, because our intent was we wanted to feed the fish. Then my son was very sad. No fish left. Now the otters really clean up the whole place. Okay, yeah. But they are celebrated for looking cute. Okay, so should we provide botanic gardens free of charge? What do you think? Okay, MC equals to 0. Any more? Now, I want to ask you a question. When I say challenge your understanding, I want to ask you, is it a public good? Okay, when is a good a public good? Non-rigorous, non-excludable, right? So, when you think of botanic gardens, is it excludable? So, it's non-excludable, huh? Can exclude? How come got two different answers? Can exclude? Huh? Excludable. How many of you will say botanics are non-excludable? No one, Because you might be thinking, but the gates are open, right? I can just walk in, right? Okay, to check this, right, you first read your definition. The definition says it's impossible, alright? Or it's very costly, prohibitively costly to exclude non-payers. I'm sure you have been to some countries where you have to pay to enter the parks. And you tell your parents, well, waste of time, I'll come to a park for what? Alright? So, in this case, in the case of botanic gardens, right, it's not very hard to put a gate there to collect admission fees. It is not impossible, it's not very costly, you just need to put a gate. And if you say, but now it's free, what? You have confused government intervention with market failure. Do you say, hey, public street lighting is not a missing market because I walk out, I see street lights? No, you are looking at the post-intervention scenario. When you want to consider whether it's market failure, always imagine away the government. There's no government. If there's no government, if a private producer wants to provide a garden, they can make it excludable. Right? OCBC, want to go to the Gardens by the Bay, that thing, the canopy walk, you have to pay, right? Is it impossible? No, they just put a gantry there and then they scan your tickets. Okay? Is it rigorous? If you are thinking rigorous to some extent, it is rigorous already. Okay? Yeah, limited picnic grounds maybe. Okay? So you have limited picnic grounds, limited benches. Picnic grounds. What else is limited? Benches. Space. Greenery. Greenery. Depends, you go and pick the flowers then limited. Okay? But it is still rigorous to some extent, right? Huh? Okay? But you're thinking limited greenery like bushes, But you don't go there to hide in the bushes, right? Now, challenge your analysis, challenge your understanding. Let me give you a question that some people have asked me, right? Street lighting. I have been challenged before where people say street lighting is rivalrous. Because if the ape sit there to read the newspapers, then there's less space for others. How do you explain that? Rivalrous what? If the ape go and read the newspapers there, you can't take that space. Same brightness? Same brightness, man? You go further away, it's very dark. Now, how will you answer that? Rivalrous. Limited reading spots. Yes? Now, I will say when something like this happens, it's a good question because let's get the understanding clear once and for all. You must think of what was the intent of street lighting. Intent of street lighting is to prevent people from falling into the drains, the cars from crashing into one another, is to prevent road mishaps. It's not to beautify the environment, it's not to encourage literacy, right? Anyway, you read the newspaper, is also, okay, yeah, literacy maybe, okay? But you must always go back to the intent, and once you understand this, it will help you. Okay? Ken? So now think of botanics. What was the intent? Okay, so when you think of botanic gardens, intention is to what? Beautify the environment. What else? For people to exercise and unwind, right? What else? Tourism, good. Anything else? Clean up the air? Yes? The lungs of our ecosystem. Which one qualifies as a public good? Cleaning up the air. Is it rivalrous? Can you tell a friend, don't breathe so much? Less oxygen.
Why would beautifying be not rivalrous?
Can also, you can say this is a public good also.
What is it like? What would it be
Rivalrous,
rivalrous?
ah? It's not rivalrous. I think I can say it's a public good. It's not excludable also, right? You can't say, hey, you didn't pay. You can smell the exhaust. You cannot. Botanics can be a public good, full stop. But this one is not a public good. You go and exercise, there are limited spots. Tourism, there's also limited spots, right? So this you park under positive externalities, can? So you have 2 cases already. But this one you really have to tread carefully. I can only think of gardens as potentially a public good. I don't want to stretch it until vaccination, everything become public